안녕하세요. 조수입니다. 감사합니다. New jeans 들고 있어요. Okay, so I'm actually super interested in this, right? Because we have here Ditto, a chart topper, record setter, up there with BTS. Another group. These are New Jeans and BTS are both groups I actually haven't heard before. We'll get to BTS eventually. But I know that this track was able to match one of the songs from BTS as far as how many weeks it stayed at the top spot. And it actually sounds super interesting from descriptions of, what I could find. So an example of one of the latest generation groups. So I think it'll be pretty interesting actually to see, to find out what all the hype is about, right? Let's see what it is that they're doing exactly that has everybody so caught up. Hang VHS.
희수야 그거 아니야. 오케이, let's go. 오, 헤이, let's go. 강고양이 씨. 강고양이가 무슨 소리 강고양이 씨. 미안. 이거 한 번만 잘 걸리는 거죠?
Wow. Trippy.
Stay in the middle, like you're a little. Don't want no riddle. 말해줘, say it back, oh, say it, Ditto. 아침이 너무 멀어서 say it, Ditto. 훌쩍 커버렸어, 함께한 기억처럼. 널 보는 내 마음은 어느새 여름 지나갈 기다렸지 all this time. Do you want somebody like I want somebody? 날 보고 웃었지만 do you think about me now? Yeah, all the time, yeah, all the time. I got no time to lose. 내 길 없던 Take me body 너를 상상했지 항상 다 있던 처음 느낌 그대로 난 기다렸지 all this time I got nothing to lose 널 좋아한다고 라따따따 울린 심장 But I don't want to stay in the middle like you a little Don't want no riddle 말해줘 say it back or say it ditto 아침이 너무 멀어서 say it ditto I don't want to walk in this middle 다 아는 건 아니어도 바라던 대로 말해줘 say it back I'll say it ditto I want you so say it ditto
This is actually quite psychedelic. It's really interesting because oh man, first of all, there's a lot of things in this song and especially in this video that they're sort of calling back to things from a long time ago. The VHS tape, the camcorder, the Beatles poster, even the sort of setting. It's actually really interesting because there's such a such a young group, such a recent generation group, and this it sort of leans into a very sort of nostalgic type of concept. But there's this very like it's because it's like a sort of a house, with a little bit of like lo-fi elements in it, and it seemed to me like it makes sense because if you think about the sort of evolution of music coming from a classical into a modern, through all these iterations of pop sort of styles, and we get into like derivative sub genres of things, offshoots of things, and it all follows to this era where we got into this very indie house type of style, because like there were things that people wanted to express, or there's these ideas that get stuck in your head, and there's not really any other way to get them out. And so it led many sort of independent producers to sit down and create those types of sounds. This is where we get this house and lo-fi, which all of that music to me, which I really enjoy, like lo-fi sounds, because they all have a sort of nostalgic type of quality to them. It's almost like when the newer generations sort of have this appreciation or this fondness of the things the from before, from earlier times, but they're not really, they're like, that's not the way that they want to express themselves. It informs what they the things that they're trying to express, but it isn't the style. It isn't the right form. It's a different form that was needed. And so it makes sense that you would have this eventually manifest itself in a K-pop group. Like, it really does. It makes a tremendous amount of sense. Now, that's a big picture type of thing that just sort of struck me over the course of this video and this song and everything. To get into the track itself, obviously we have a killer percussion mix that's going on here. The track is extremely minimal, with a lot of airiness around it. The way that the percussion goes, it's interesting, right? Because it's I just listened to a track by Kara, and they had a section where the percussion was very minimal and skeletal, and that's, you could describe the percussion in this song similarly. It's very minimalist, somewhat skeletal again. It's very, but it because of its like rhythm, its time signature, it's very, very up tempo. It's like extremely fast, and it's almost like what you have is these layers of rhythm, right? So what the percussion is doing is extremely fast. The count is like really, really big. It's just in a very small space as far as duration, and you can count it that way. And there's another sort of time or rhythm that will fit over that isn't as fast. You could say it's like 8/4, but you could do 4/4 over it, and it would fit and it would make sense, especially since you have a more up-tempo type of rhythm in the percussion part. So this means that your melody can do something a little bit different over the top of it, and it's going to fit. This is what allows for the vocal parts to have their phrasing, which is also like, the vocals are so airy. They're so It's nice. It's a very nice delivery. The phrasing is again, it's very sort of minimalist and almost like it's very psychedelic, man. It's very psychedelic because it isn't just about the like the pitch or the about having some sort of like elegant melodic sort of phrase structure to it. This is the character of this song is very much almost sentient, like it's about the breath. It's about the airiness, like how to describe it. It's about the actual like body, the vocal cord, the mouth structure, the sound of someone's actual breathing. Like it this is why it has this psychedelic quality to it, because it's so appealing to your senses. Like it's so delicate, it's so airy, and but that's when it creeps into your ear, kind of it evokes the feeling of like this part of your body. And there's some wonderful bass in here that further, it like reinforces that idea with what it's doing, because it's very big, and it's very low. It's an extremely low frequency, and it has this presence that you can feel very much. You would feel it in your body, like if there was a live performance of this. It's like that bass that you sort of feel it, like you can feel it vibrating, right? The ground and everything. If you were in a indoor setting, you could feel the air move off the front of the stacks, right? Whenever that bass went and shifted down, you would feel this hot air like move from as it gets sort of pushed by the sound waves coming out of the monitors and stuff. It's a very psychedelic track. It's so minimalist, right? So it's kind of like subverted. It's a little bit hidden. It's disguised as something else, but this is actually very, very psychedelic. It's quite a production too. Like, this is really cool. This is all nostalgia. Like, everything about this. Digging through the box, finding the tape, a VHS tape, and all of this B-roll. All these shots. Even the frame. Look at the aspect ratio. This is not 16:9. This is a 12:12 aspect ratio. Everything about this is throwback. Man. It has this charm about it. It's very endearing. I don't know the group, but I appreciate the concept behind this, because it definitely relates to a lot of things that I literally like. I remember these experiences quite well, and even the way that they're being presented in this, it's very, very interesting. It's super interesting. Well, the compression on the audio, because it's in an older format. And then these arpeggios, these piano arpeggios. Oh, it's like so that is very chromatic because it's seventh chords. Um, you know, like you're getting the seven, you get your root, third, fifth, and then whenever that seventh is there, and this is what lends it this type of chromaticism and these wonderful arpeggios on these it's a chord progression. Like it's definitely it's very tonal. It's very tonal, and this isn't even like a part of the song. Like if you hear this on the radio in Korea or something, you might not even hear that part. You might only hear when the main track comes in. But that's like there's elements of classicism. It's crazy. It's a crazy thing to put in here. Like I don't know why they chose to do that, other than it's nostalgic. You know, like trying to build on that feeling. This is super interesting. I you know, I can understand its popularity. This is really interesting. Even there's like there's this. You hear that ding dun 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 ding dun dun dun, and they're dancing, and it's all like upbeat and very cheery, right? Like there's a light, happy sort of thing that's going on, but there's this brooding like bass and atmospheric sort of like it's. And that's like when I specifically pointed out the Beatles poster later. This is psychedelic, man, because there's you're getting two things at the same time. You're getting like both sides of a coin. One is a light, cheery side, and then there's this ambiguous, dark, heavy side to it as well. And there is this odd juxtaposition that's going on right here. It's really quite intense. See, almost like strings, but it's a this tone, you know, that sort of rings out in a very, it's very tense. It's very like there's an uneasiness to it. It's kind of crazy. So airy. These vocals, like when you can hear that hoo hoo hoo, like you hear the air, not the pitch that she's hitting. You hear the air that she's pushing out. You hear that breath. You hear that sound, making the shape, right? That round shape. Hoo hoo hoo, like it's extremely sentient, man. This is really psychedelic.
Stay in the middle, like you a little. Don't want no riddle. 말해줘, say it back, oh say it, did I? 아침이 너무 멀어서 say it, did I? 훌쩍 커버렸어, 함께한 기억처럼. 널 보는 내 마음은 어느새 여름 지나갈 기다렸지. Oh, this
Oh, see right there was a very chromatic. It's in the progression. You know, like it's a second, like it's a chord that just steps down one whole step to the next chord and then comes back up. It's, oh dude, the Beatles poster's in there for a reason. This makes me wonder, like, are y'all getting trippy in Korea? Are you tripping? Is it like that? Is it like one of those times? Like is it that period where people are like discovering chipping, you know what I mean? Because that's what this is telling me, man. This is like I don't know. This is bringing back a lot of memories from a lot of different times in life.
Do you want somebody like I want somebody? 날 보고 웃었지만 do you think about me now? Yeah, all the time, yeah, all the time. I got no time to lose. 내 길었던 하루 난 보고 싶어. 라따따따 울린 심장. I got nothing to.
So different. You see the difference in the aspect ratio. What I'm talking about, right? When it's that camcorder image, you have borders on each side, right? You have the black bars that run down the side, because you don't have a full 16:9 aspect ratio on that. It's 12:12. It's a throwback. The lighting in this shot right here is so like the what is it? The white light levels have been raised, and that's why it looks all dreamy. You know what I mean? Also, the fact that there's like you don't hear any of that diegetic sound. The wind is obviously blowing, and they're outside on a rooftop. You would hear cars, you would hear people, you would hear the wind blowing, but you don't hear any of that, right? And they're doing the choreography, which matches with the rhythms that you're getting from mainly the percussion part. It's very well done. Like I get it. I get it, and it's very well done. It's like this is good for a lot of reasons. Yeah, this is super interesting stuff. The way that bass ramps up right there, it's really good, man. And these rhythms, you know, that are in this percussion part, seems like, you know, it just it's so busy. It's, you know, like I'm not even sure what the count is here. It is something like 8. It's a like there's a lot of beats, right? Yeah, and it's just, you know, the subdivisions then, because you're gonna have like 8 beats in a measure, and a quarter note's gonna get the beat, so that's why you have, you know, it feels like 16th note subdivisions, right? It's very genre specific, because it just comes down to the choice for you know, that very house like type of bass sound that they went with here. But it's super interesting. It's very cool. It's a very cool song.
항상 다 있던 처음 느낌 그대로 난 기다렸지 all this time. I got nothing to lose. 널 좋아한다고. 라따따따 울린 심장. But I don't want to stay in the
It's a wonderful chord progression. It's really good. It's really good. Like the composition is, it's both old and new, which is nothing, that hasn't been that hasn't informed like the K-pop stuff until now. It's always a blend of old and new. But these specific stylings, this choice of this type of song style, it's a really great chord progression. It's a subtle thing, but even that shot, even this shot right here, the way that the mix drops out, right? Right as you get this shot, let's see, what? Like the bass, you hear the bass, and then one of those synth bass voices sort of drops out a little bit. It's no longer playing subdivided rhythms either. It's sustaining for like almost whole note counts. And then that snare, snappy percussion sound is going to completely leave the mix. That's really good. That's really, really smart. It's so clever. See, all of this is so, like, she's waking up, and then the way she's moving, right? And then all this, now you are getting hit with diegetic sound. Now you are like seeing, she's moving her hand, and you're hearing the sound of her moving across this fabric here. It's so sentient, like it's intensely psychedelic stuff, man. It is. Like, I know what's up. I know what's up. all the so again, diegetic noise. That this is really, the production on this is actually really, really good, man. It's really good. All the ambience in that, the reverb in that room, like that was actual reverb. What you can hear is the sound of the air system circulating inside of that classroom. The way that all of the noises, the people's voices and people moving around in their chairs, that sound bounces up off of that hard floor, and then it starts bouncing off of the walls and stuff, and that's in there, and it's very, very clever stuff, man. It really is. What the sequence now. The sequence of shots. See how the sound keeps changing up to match every shot in the sequence? And there was a timer too that was ticking. So I don't know if I'm gonna have to go back, like with always discovering sort of a new group and checking them out for the first time. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to some more stuff and experience a couple of other songs and videos and stuff. But this was really interesting, man. Like really, really interesting. To think that. I mean, it makes sense. Like I was trying to explain, after watching it the first time, it makes sense to me that you get this type of song, that you have this type of style choice for the song and everything. That part makes perfect sense to me. It's super interesting that this intensely psychedelic song and video are at the heights of the popularity right now. That's incredibly interesting to me. This was very well done. It's just it's a really a quite a beautiful chord progression that's going on, and the choice for everything is so, like, there's a strong ambience to it. Everything definitely plays to your sort of spatial cognition. That was what informs the production on the different parts of the mix, the percussion, the reverb that you're getting, how much space they're suggesting is in the mix, the airiness of the vocals, because even that simple that simple hook, right? It's all about that breath. It's all about the breathiness, the airiness, and you think it's just one voice. It's just one voice. It's not particularly. It isn't belting anything out, right? That's not like a false. It's not even a falsetto voice. It's not a full falsetto. It's not a full head voice. There's a lot of the chant's still there, because that's what gives it that. That's where the breath comes from, right? And the way that it's handled in the production is to suggest to you that this one voice, this one rather subdued, breathy voice, is filling up a very large space. And I don't know, it's a very peculiar thing. Does it make sense? Yeah. And I get it, man. I get it. Like, I know what's up. Like I said, the Beatles poster is in there for a reason. You can go back definitely and listen to some Beatles albums, definitely some, and you will hear a very similar type of quality in there if you listen carefully. Like I said, this production style came about with this appreciation for sounds from times like that, but the imperative was to express them in a different manner, in a different style, using a different everything is much different, without access to the same instruments, without using the same instruments, without using the same type of singing voices, but that chord progression is where it all is, actually. Like, that's where you're gonna find that. This is really, really quite an interesting thing, man. Like, it's cool. It's cool. I really did enjoy it. I'm super curious now. Like I said, like always, like, just wanted to go back and hear more from the group, and what did they start out sounding like? You know what I mean? And how do we get to this point? So that I have to look into that. I have to experience that. But this is it's definitely chosen to go into a different direction, right? And it's very cool. It's very endearing. There's like the that sort of nostalgic aspect of the concept that they have going on with this. There's a sweetness to it. Definitely there's a very endearing sort of sweet quality to it. It's very, very charming. if not intensely psychedelic at that. But this was fun. This was, like I said, super interesting. I'm really like piqued curiosity at this point, just to see what else, what is this group doing now, like this. But I'm gonna have to go back and hear things from the beginning with them. I'm gonna have to go back and check out the debut sound and get an idea for what it was that they were doing when they started. But this is a very interesting direction to go in, man. It's really unique, but also very very cool that they're doing it. Yeah, this very interesting stuff. Very cool. New Jeans, Ditto. New school, but also old school and really psychedelic stuff. But it was fun. I enjoyed it a lot.